Some suburban subdivisions have these, paths that wind through the neighborhood. Some of these paths provide access to nearby nature, while others create a nice recreation trail for taking a walk or riding a bike. Sometimes paths are shorter but connect to nearby destinations. This one here is really short. It just connects this suburban neighborhood to a little shopping center with a grocery outlet, CVS, and some other shops and restaurants. But the shortcut is great because it means residents don't have to walk along busy streets to get there. These paths provide a little bit of an active transportation oasis in the middle of car-oriented suburbia. I got a little bit obsessed with these a while back. I mean, I still am, but I was then too. I actually wrote a whole chapter of my dissertation on these path systems, and I was trying to answer the question, would requiring path systems in suburban neighborhoods make the suburbs better for active transportation? Should we require these? I'll tell you all about it and the answer to those questions after the bike bell. I looked at 3 neighborhoods in the Sacramento area for my path study. One was Bridgeway Island in West Sacramento, California. It features paths that stitch together cul-de-sacs and lead to a central elementary school. The second was a neighborhood in Sacramento called The Pocket. It's because this river bend here creates an area in the shape of a pocket, I guess. Anyway, while Bridgeway Island was a newer neighborhood built in the 2000s, The Pocket was built in the 1950s around an extensive path system. The paths connect schools, and students who use the paths never have to interact with a car. Bridges and tunnels separate traffic, creating a peaceful and verdant system. Finally, I chose the Del Paso Heights Norwood neighborhood because it was a rare example of a neighborhood built before the path system. The path was installed later as a Rails to Trails project and helped knit the neighborhood back together. Instead of a rail line acting as a barrier, it's now a park that both neighborhoods can enjoy. I surveyed residents of all 3 neighborhoods by posting a link to an online survey in Facebook and Nextdoor groups. The survey was pretty basic. I just asked them questions like, did they use the paths? How did they use the paths? And what did they like and not like about the path systems? Well, what did I find? The results honestly were a little bit disappointing to me. Most people who did use the paths used them for exercise. Now that's not terrible, especially considering obesity and the lack of exercise are a hallmark of sprawl. Walking is the #1 exercise activity for adults, and it's great to have a pleasant place to do it. But I was hoping to see that people would, walk or bike to a variety of destinations, including work, school, shopping, and more. A few people I surveyed did, and certainly some kids did walk and bike to school, but my results suggest that the paths themselves are not enough for people to ditch their cars in the suburbs. So that's it then, right? Nobody really uses them, at least not in a way that would replace car trips. Let's not require them in the suburbs. Well, I think that's still a little bit short-sighted. One thing I liked about the Bridgeway Island neighborhood is that it's part of a larger planning area called Southport. In the Southport plan, it requires neighborhoods like Bridgeway Island to have a path system. Furthermore, it calls for a regional path system to connect to all neighborhoods and destinations like schools, community centers, and shopping. There is an existing levee path that makes that connection, but I think they have plans to upgrade it from the gravel that it is now. Furthermore, there are other plans to connect the entire Southport area to a path system that will connect it to the rest of West Sacramento and even to downtown Sacramento, facilitating commuting. I'd love to redo this study in 10 years when the path system is complete. I bet I'd see more people walking and bicycling to reach destinations. Or I could just look at a new neighborhood built where I live right now in San Luis Obispo, California. The neighborhood is called San Luis Ranch, and construction is just wrapping up on it. It's located in a pretty great spot. It's across from a really nice natural park and lake, and between 2 shopping centers. A pedestrian and bicycle crossing provides access for people to get to the nearby elementary and middle schools, as well as that natural area. It has a lot of destinations, basically. But does it have a solid path network? Definitely. You can see it on the map here. Shared use paths along this road connect the neighborhood to shopping on both sides. The neighborhood also includes a circle path that serves as a great fitness loop. Furthermore, there are cut-through paths that create perfect connections between different blocks and the central park. There are even connections between cul-de-sacs and the main road to ensure easy access for all residents. This is a neighborhood clearly designed with the paths incorporated into them. How do they feel on the ground, like actually using them? To be honest, they feel pretty great. Here's a nice look at me riding my bike on the 2-way shared use path along the main road. It's comfortable and speedy without any real obstructions. I must admit that I'm skeptical of roundabouts as good pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure because cars don't have to stop. I mean, they do have to stop if they see a pedestrian or cyclist waiting to cross, but sometimes they don't. But I think they did a good job here of narrowing the crossing distance, and the lack of busy traffic also makes it feel pretty safe and convenient for active transportation users like myself. All in all, not a bad roundabout. Let's take a look at one of those connector paths. They're really nicely landscaped with a bench. That implies that they're great for stopping and enjoying, not just for passing through. But they are also nice for passing through. I must say that the path itself is a little narrow, but it's so nice to have when you have roads creating long blocks running parallel to the park. This is just a nice little shortcut, and I love it. As of filming, they're finishing up the fitness loop, but you can see here that part of it is open. It includes some exercise equipment and a rather nice shady ride. There's even a pedestrian-only bridge connecting one part of the development to the other over a stream. Speaking of bridges, there's another bridge over the stream, this time with cars too, that leads to Target and other shopping options. Residents of this neighborhood can essentially get to Target, Home Depot, Costco, and more using some really nice paths and protected intersections. Furthermore, there's even a path connecting to a nearby neighborhood. And on the other side of the development, the path leads to stores like World Market, Nordstrom Rack, and a grocery store. All in all, it's a pretty great example of a modern path system that does a good job connecting internal destinations as well as external destinations. Now, I should say that this isn't the first example of a great path system integrated into a suburban neighborhood. I mean, I mentioned a few in this video already. And the city planning professor in me feels like I have to tell you about some of the great historical examples out there. One of the most famous is Radburn, New Jersey, a case study that just about every city planning student in the United States has to learn about. Designed by the Garden Suburb guys, Clarence Stein and Henry Wright, it included a robust path network. Houses even had their front doors opening to the paths. The paths connected to schools and a nearby commercial area. And this was back in 1929. Another famous example is Village Homes in Davis, California, planned and built between the 1960s and 1980s. It too features homes with doors opening out onto an extensive path system that also winds through shared orchards and gardens. It even features streets named after the Lord of the Rings places and names. I mean, honestly, it would be pretty cool to live on Rivendell Lane, Shire Lane, or Bombadil Lane. The path systems in those historical examples are nice, but the sheer number of destinations in close proximity, combined with a modern bike infrastructure, makes San Luis Ranch feel something more modern and different. It feels like residents of San Luis Ranch are encouraged to use these paths to get out of the neighborhood, not just circulate within it. Though you certainly can circulate within it too. The best way to make this happen is to understand that there are actually several different types of suburban path networks out there, and you have to choose the right tool for the job. Let's list a few of the critical ones now. First, we have the fitness or recreation loop. These are great for people who want to stay active close to home. Walking is the #1 physical activity done by adults in the US, and we should be facilitating that activity in the notoriously unwalkable suburbs. As I mentioned, we're facing an obesity epidemic, and having a calm, separated facility just for walking could improve public health outcomes and make people more physically and mentally fit. Second, we have what I call stitch or zipper paths. These preserve cul-de-sacs for people who like quiet streets, but don't leave them as inconvenient dead ends for pedestrians and cyclists. They also often lead to a neighborhood destination, like a park or school. In this way, the neighborhood circulation system looks like a grid to people outside of cars, while still operating like normal suburbia to people within them. Third, we have connectors. These are short and meant to provide a simple connection between the neighborhood and another adjacent use, something like a commercial area or another neighborhood. This is basically that little connector I mentioned at the top of the video. They aren't fancy, but they get the job done and can help people get out of their neighborhoods safely. Fourth, we have destination paths. These are paths designed to connect to a larger citywide and regional path network, allowing people to go far and reach more destinations safely. They're designed with state-of-the-art shared use path infrastructure, with divided lanes, green paint at driveways and intersections, and wayfinding signage to point users in the right direction. Finally, we have citywide and regional path systems. When connected to neighborhood path systems and high-quality sidewalks and bike infrastructure, they can help move active transportation users throughout a city and region safely and comfortably. These often follow features that are linear, like a creek or shoreline or a rail line, either as a rails to trails or rails with trails project. They can even be built under power line right-of-ways. Suburban arterial roads are often so wide that a path can be inserted into the street right-of-way with minimal hassle. Each of these types of path networks serve different functions, but when you have them all working together, you have the basis for a pretty great active transportation system in the suburbs. That's no small thing, but I've seen it done. I've also seen it not done well when you only have one or two and not all of them working in concert. A stitch network that leads to a local park is great for if you want to walk your dog, but it's not so great if you want to reach outside destinations. It's those connections to the outside that make these networks really work much, much better. And speaking of better, do you know what's better than watching this video here on YouTube? It's watching it ad-free over on the streaming service Nebula. If you sign up, you can also watch videos early. Every time I post a video here on YouTube, a new video is already up on Nebula. I'm starting an epic series on my trip to Japan, and that first Japan video is already up, and you can go check it out right now if you go sign up. Because we're filled with thoughtful creators, we have some pretty smart features built into Nebula. First of all of my videos posted on YouTube are already up early on at Nebula. That means you can sign up for Nebula right now and watch my next video without waiting a few weeks for it to appear on YouTube. That's pretty great already. Nebula also has no ads, making the entire viewing experience better for you, and it also makes it better for the creator because we're able to produce Nebula original series that can focus on being great instead of being great at pleasing the YouTube algorithm. These are passion projects that answer the question, What would videos from great creators look like if they had more resources to do that thing? 2023 was a great year for Nebula Originals. I even put out a Nebula Original series called Great Cities that profiles some of the most influential cities right at the inflection points that made them great. You can learn about why Venice built canals and why New York built Central Park. It's some of my best work because Nebula provided additional resources, and it's only available there. There is so much great exclusive content on the platform right now too. The ever-popular Jet Lag series starring the crew from Wendover Productions and Half as Interesting. For those who don't know, it's like a travel game show that's incredibly addictive and tailor-made for anyone who likes my channel. Real Life Lore continues to publish excellent episodes of their Modern Conflict series. Real Science has a series where two amateur naturalists try to survive using only tools from the Paleolithic. In all, Nebula offers you, the viewer, an ad-free experience filled with videos produced by a curated group of thoughtful YouTubers. And those thoughtful creators are also publishing big-budget, high-quality exclusive content. And you get all of this for a surprisingly affordable price. When you sign up at my link, nebula.tv/citybeautiful, you'll get 40% off an annual subscription, which brings the cost down to the equivalent of $250 per month. My channel will even get a portion of that subscription fee as long as you say subscribed. So it's one of the best ways to support me and this channel. If you want to go above and beyond in your support of this channel, consider a lifetime membership to Nebula. It's $300, but you only pay once and then never again. It's a great way to, again, show your support, but also fund some of the great content that's going to set us apart from other streaming services. Also, other streaming services take on private investors or stealth stock, but we're going to be beholden to you, the viewer. I think that's really special. I love that Nebula has an affordable monthly option for some folks, while other folks can support at a higher level. And again, that support is so critical to supporting this channel, as well as the other thoughtful creators working to make Nebula a success. So we've got no ads, early access, and prestige content with more coming down the pipeline. Now's the perfect time to sign up to Nebula. I'll put the link on screen and in the description, so go sign up and get 40% off and support this channel. Thank you so much.